Studies show women emotionally detach long before they physically leave. By the time you notice something is wrong, she's already gone. What you're about to hear, most men spend a lifetime learning too late. There is a particular kind of pain that lives in silence. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't leave a note. It builds, slowly, in the spaces between two people. In the pauses, in the distance, in the moments where something should have been said and wasn't. Most men are never taught to read that silence. They were taught to work, to provide, to endure. They were told that love was proven through sacrifice, through the hours you put in, through the bills you paid, through the roof over her head. They built their entire sense of worth around output. And yet, the woman left. Not always physically. Sometimes emotionally first. Sometimes she stays in the house, in the bed, at the table. But something essential has been slowly handed to someone else. A glance, a laugh, a secret. Herself. This video is not about blame. It is not a condemnation of women. It is not a cry of victimhood. This is a map, a dark one, but an honest one. Because the truth is, in most cases of infidelity, there were warning signs, not excuses, signs. And those signs were behaviors, things the man did or stopped doing that slowly eroded the psychological architecture of the relationship. If you are a man who wants to understand, truly understand, what happens beneath the surface of a relationship before it collapses, stay with this. This matters for your life. Attachment theory, one of the most validated frameworks in relational psychology, tells us that humans bond not just through presence, but through attunement. Attunement is not affection, it is something deeper. It is the experience of feeling seen, of feeling that the person next to you actually perceives you, not just as a role, not just as a function, but as a living, breathing, emotionally complex human being. When attunement breaks down, the bond weakens. Research from the Gottman Institute, decades of work studying thousands of couples, found that the primary predictor of relationship collapse was not conflict, it was disconnection. Specifically, what they called the failure to respond to emotional bids. A bid is a reach. It's small. It might be as simple as her looking out the window and saying, "Look at that sky," or it might be a sigh. A touch on your arm, a question that seems casual but carries weight beneath it. When those bids are repeatedly ignored, turned away from, or dismissed, something inside the woman begins to close. Not in anger, always. Sometimes in quiet resignation, a kind of grief for the connection she thought she would have. And when a door closes inside a person, they begin, often unconsciously, to look for another door. This is not an excuse for infidelity. It is an explanation of the psychological mechanics behind it. Understanding those mechanics is the beginning of real masculine awareness. Picture a house in winter. The lights are on. The furniture is in place. From the outside, everything looks intact, but inside, the heat has slowly gone. Not all at once, a degree here, a degree there, so gradual that neither person fully noticed when the cold settled in. That is what a relationship looks like before betrayal. Functional, present, but hollow at the center. We're going to walk through 4 specific behaviors, things men do, usually unconsciously, that drop the temperature, that hollow out the center, that make a woman feel, on some primal level, that she is alone in a relationship and that someone else might finally make her feel found. Let's begin. He is there. But he is not there. Physically in the room, body on the couch, eyes on a screen. But his mind, his real self, somewhere else entirely. In the game. In the work problem. In the scroll. In the comfortable numbness of whatever requires nothing from him emotionally. She talks. He half responds. She reaches. He deflects. She tries to create a moment. He is already somewhere else. This is what psychologists call chronic emotional unavailability. And it is perhaps the single most corrosive force in a long-term relationship. Understand something. A woman does not primarily leave a man for another man. She leaves a feeling of invisibility and moves toward whoever makes her feel the opposite. The other man, in most cases, is not better looking, not richer, not more impressive. He is simply present. He asks questions and waits for the answers. He makes eye contact and holds it. He laughs at what she says and responds to it specifically, not generically, not distractedly. He makes her feel like she exists. Now, here is where men make a critical error in understanding this. They hear emotional presence and they translate it as being soft, as weakness, as something that diminishes them. This is wrong. Completely wrong. True presence requires strength. It requires the discipline to set down distraction, the courage to make contact, the internal stillness to actually listen, not to formulate your response but to receive what another person is offering you. Most men in the modern world have lost this capacity, not because they are weak men, but because the world they live in rewards distraction. It monetizes your attention. It rewards you for staying numb and checked out. And eventually, that numbness bleeds into the relationship. She doesn't need you to solve everything. She needs you to show up. Fully, with both eyes, with your whole attention pointed at her, even if only for 20 minutes a day. A man who is present is a man who is irreplaceable. There is a version of a man that a woman chooses. He is driven, disciplined. He has a direction, a purpose. There is a quality to him, a forward momentum. Something about the way he carries himself that signals he is building something. Not necessarily wealth or fame. Something internal. A becoming. She chose him, that man, and then slowly, sometimes over months, sometimes over years, that man begins to dissolve. The ambition softens. The discipline collapses. The forward momentum stalls. He stops going to the gym. He stops reading. He stops pursuing anything beyond comfort. He settles. And she watches it happen. And something in her, something rooted deep in biology, in evolutionary psychology, in the most primal architecture of female attraction, begins to respond, not with contempt, at first with concern, then with quiet disappointment, then eventually with a kind of restless dissatisfaction she may not even be able to name. Understand the psychology here. Attraction for women is not purely visual. It is heavily bound to status signaling, not financial status specifically, but what researchers call intrasexual dominance, the sense that a man is competing, striving, moving upward in some domain that matters. When a man stops striving, he stops signaling. And when he stops signaling, the deep biological mechanisms of her attraction begin to recalibrate. This is not a conscious process. She's not sitting down and rationally evaluating his fitness as a mate. It happens in the body, in the gut, in the quiet erosion of desire. The dangerous thing about this pattern is how invisible it is to the man experiencing it. He thinks everything is fine. He is comfortable. He has the relationship. He has the house, the routine, the familiarity. What he doesn't see is that familiarity, without growth, becomes stagnation. And stagnation is suffocating for a woman who once believed in who you were becoming. The man who keeps her is the man who never fully arrives, who is always in motion, not restless, grounded, but still hungry, still reaching, still becoming someone she has not fully discovered yet. She does not want a man who is finished. She wants a man who's not yet done. Modern culture has confused men about this deeply. There has been a long narrative, well-intentioned but psychologically incomplete, that what women want is full equality in decision-making, that leadership is inherently domineering, that the man who takes charge is somehow oppressive. So men abdicated. They stopped making decisions. They began deferring, endlessly. Whatever you want, you decide. I don't care. Up to you. They mistook passivity for respect. They confused having no opinion with being open-minded, and women, caught between what they were told they should want and what they actually experienced inside, became exhausted. Here is the nuance that most conversations miss. Women do not want to be controlled. They want to be led. These are not the same thing. Control says, you have no voice, you follow my rules, I dominate your space. Leadership says, I have a direction, I have a plan, I will hold the frame, and you are safe inside it. Frame is the psychological container of a relationship, the emotional structure, the sense that someone is at the helm, not rigidly, not tyrannically, but with calm, deliberate authority. When a man holds frame, the woman inside it can relax. She can trust. She can be soft, because someone strong is holding the boundary. When a man dissolves his frame, when he becomes reactive, indecisive, easily destabilized, she loses her sense of safety, and when safety leaves, the primal nervous system begins scanning for something more solid. This is critical. A woman who disrespects you is not a bad woman necessarily. She is often a woman whose primal nervous system has stopped receiving the signal of safety from you, and in the absence of that signal, she tests, she pushes, she escalates. Not because she wants to destroy you, because she's trying to find out if there is still something solid here. If you crumble, you confirm what she feared. If you hold calmly, without anger, without desperation, you give her what she actually needed. Proof that you are still there, that the frame is intact. The man who leads is not loud, he is not aggressive, he does not need to dominate every room or win every argument. He is simply the man who does not waver when the wind comes. This is the one no one talks about. Early in a relationship, there is unknowing. You are still being revealed to each other. Every conversation uncovers something new. Every silence carries a question. There is a tension, not anxiety, but the pleasurable tension of incompleteness, of a story still being written. Then comes total transparency, not the healthy transparency of emotional honesty, but the flattening transparency of complete predictability, where she knows exactly what you'll say before you say it, where she can finish your sentences not because she's deeply attuned to you, but because you have become a pattern she has memorized. The field of sexual psychology makes a clear distinction between what drives desire and what drives attachment. These are neurologically distinct systems. Attachment thrives on familiarity, safety, predictability. Desire, raw, authentic desire, requires the opposite. It requires novelty, uncertainty, the sense that something is slightly beyond your full grasp. When a man becomes fully transparent, when he overshares his fears, his insecurities, his every emotional state, he eliminates the distance that desire needs to live in. This is the cruel paradox of modern relationship advice. Men are told, be vulnerable, open up, share everything, let her in completely. And there is truth in that guidance. To a point. Emotional availability is not the enemy of desire. But emotional neediness is. The man who texts her constantly, who needs reassurance, who becomes anxious and transparent about every emotional fluctuation, that man has no interior space, no depth to be discovered. He has laid himself entirely flat, and he cannot desire what you already fully possess. The man who retains mystery does not do so through games. He does not manipulate. He does not disappear to create jealousy. He is mysterious because he has an interior world, rich, complex, private, that is not fully given to anyone. He has interests, thoughts, depths that are his own. He does not perform his inner life constantly for her approval. He also has the emotional discipline to not react to everything, to not bleed out his psychology the moment he feels something, to hold himself together, even in difficulty, with a kind of quiet, unspoken strength. That quality, the quiet containment of depth, is deeply, primally attractive. She does not fall for what she knows. She falls for what she senses she has not yet fully reached. Here's the truth. Drop. Most men who are cheated on were not betrayed in a single moment. They were gradually abandoned, long before anyone else entered the picture, by their own slow disappearance from themselves. The man who lost his presence lost it to distraction. The man who lost his standard lost it to comfort. The man who lost his leadership lost it to fear. The man who lost his mystery lost it to neediness. These are not failures of love. They are failures of self, and because they are failures of self, they are correctable. This is what no one tells men, not with real clarity. The best protection against infidelity is not surveillance, not suspicion, not control. It is the relentless, disciplined practice of becoming a man worth staying for. A man who is present. A man who is still building. A man who holds frame. A man who carries depth. Not perfect, not invulnerable. Not cold, just ignition, or fear, what happens when he leaves the room, because he has built something inside the relationship that no one can replicate in a text message or a hotel corridor. He has built himself. So let this not be a video that makes you afraid. Let it be one that makes you honest. Ask yourself, with real quiet, with no defensiveness, which of these four have you let slip? Because the question is not whether she will leave. The question is whether the man she fell in love with is still in the building.